Talking about classic movie musicals, you can hardly get more classic than this movie. The Sound of Music tells the true-ish story of Maria von Trapp moving in with the Austrian von Trapp family as a governess and gradually becoming part of their family, eventually marrying the father of the household, Georg von Trapp. Parallel to that runs the story of the Nazis' rise to power and the eventual Anschluss, i.e. the Nazi takeover of Austria, happening in the background. The film culminates in the von Trapp family escaping Austria to avoid von Trapp having to serve in the Third Reich's navy. Having fairly recently seen the movie myself for the first time, I can see why it's still such a beloved favorite. It's very watchable for a movie of its time. Christopher Plummer and Julie Andrews deliver some great performances, and despite the grim subject matter, there's a delightfully joyous tone that's felt throughout the movie. There is one aspect of this film, however, that seems to resonate even more strongly today than perhaps ever: its anti-fascist elements. Once, the movie's steadfast rejection of Nazism would probably not even have seemed worth commenting on. There was a time, believe it or not, when Nazis were so widely understood to have been evil that they were mostly just used as convenient shorthand for bad guy, without having to explain why they're bad. These days, however, we live in times when a Wolfenstein commercial using the slogan "No More Nazis" may actually trigger a minor backlash for being too political. In these times, when far-right, sometimes openly fascist or white supremacist movements are increasingly seen as a normal part of the political tapestry, and liberal politicians seem more interested in courting them than opposing them, it makes sense that there's something comforting about watching a movie that just treats all that as uncontroversially bad. So this movie did not need to provide any kind of criticism on the content of Nazism. Again, there was a time when it was considered completely uncontroversial to use the Nazis as shorthand for evil, and I would not have blamed this movie at all if it simply did that. However, in its portrayal of those who oppose the Nazis in this film, you do actually begin to see the outline of this film's idea of anti-fascism, and it is interesting. It paints a picture of a movie that knows that Nazis are bad, but can't really articulate why. So let's take a bit of a deeper look into the confused anti-fascism of The Sound of Music.